Welcome to The Why. In our podcast, The Why, we're going to cover topics that are important to SAP customers and to our team. We want you to share this information internally. We want you to share this information outside of SAP Ariba. And we want you to be able to connect with other thought leaders in our business. This week, our podcast, The Why, is at SAP Ariba Live in Las Vegas, which is the place to be for B2B commerce. Joining me today on our podcast, The Why, is Joe Fabiani, Chief Operating Officer of GRMS, and Tony Alvarez, the General Manager of Ariba Spot Buy. Tony, Joe, thank you very much for joining me today on The Why.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks, John.
Joe, we'll start with you. GRMS, what is it? What do you do? Tell us a little bit about the solution and the company itself.
Okay, great. GRMS was formed in 2010. What we are is a global supplier risk assessment program. What that means is we take a look at a company's suppliers, and we can provide customizable risk ratings on those suppliers. Some of the things that we look at include regulatory compliance, financial. We manage insurance, cyber. So some of the reputational things, such as diversity, and put it in your vernacular, the procurement with a purpose piece.
Purpose-driven, right?
We have that as well, and we can also include documents. So we serve customers from mid-size to Fortune 50 currently.
Do you work on a global scale?
Yes, our services are available in 120 countries.
Fantastic. Tony, we're familiar with the Spot Buy solution. As you were looking at GRMS, what was really intriguing about the value that GRMS could bring to the Ariba community and to Spot Buy?
Yeah, sure. I think Spot Buy in its essence is about transparency. It's about giving visibility into that tail spend, and as we can allow that buyer to go down and see each individual seller that they're doing. They can block out commodities. We do have everybody sign up to minimum service requirements, order processing, returns. But the thing that was missing was, okay, but that last step of trust. Is this supplier still in compliance? Is it in violation of any of these watch lists?
So not just the one time, but on an ongoing basis?
You got it. And that's really what drew us towards GRMS and their services was the fact, I didn't even realize GRMS monitors, 1,400 different
over 1,500.
1,500.
And that list is always growing. And we do a lot of continuous monitoring. And we just released a new platform that allows us with the new technology to do continuous monitoring, things like financial stability, regulatory, media, those sorts of things. So that it's not so much a snapshot in time. It's a continuous monitoring that we can then push alerts out to our customers when things change, either good or bad.
All right.
So yeah, when I first approached Joe, I think I just asked for OFAC compliance, and he's like, well, how about these other 14,000, 15,000? I was like, yeah, let's throw those in as well. It's
just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Joe, I understand it's not just about the data. You mentioned a little bit of the service and the other things you provide. Are those some of the things that make GRMS stand out from everybody else in this area?
That's correct. We're seeing more and more what we call data feeds, where they provide unadjudicated raw data. So I'd like to give a good example. If in terms of, let's just talk about watch list, there's a number of what we call false positives.
Sure.
So someone, a supplier comes on and they're lit as being on a watch list. They go to the buyer, or the buyer comes to them and says, "Hey, buddy, I can't do work with you because you're on the watch list." And the guy says, "It's not me." Well, what happens then? If you're using GRMS's services, we have a complete support system around that the supplier can just contact us, and we'll work with them to clearly and adjudicate the false positive. And you can't get that with just a data feed.
All right. So you'll work with those companies to vet, who that supplier is and whether it's true or not true.
Yeah, that's our service. The buyer just says, "Hey, go contact GRMS, work this out with them," and we're able to get that done successfully.
That's fantastic. Tony, you talked about the fact when you first went to GRMS, it was on a very specific, piece of information. Joe, how do customers get started with this? There's a lot of information you could find out about, your suppliers and who you do business with. What's your advice for a company who's just beginning to look at this area? Is there a jumpstart program? Or are there a few things
we have a couple enterprise-wide solutions that we help. That was exactly when we started. People were overwhelmed with the amount of information that's available.
Right.
So we've developed some what we call them programs, which is made up of certain risk components, and within those, we have it broken down to 8 modules now. And we recommend that they choose from those 8 to deal with. They can pick regulatory, financial, insurance.
So solve different types of risk areas.
Yeah, exactly.
And
That's more
topics.
on an enterprise-wide. They pick the modules that they want to use. We build a program, and then we can always add on to it later on when they have a particular piece of risk that they're looking to mitigate. In a certain area, maybe it's geographic, or maybe it's some more financial things on their direct material guys.
Fantastic. Well, Tony, this looks like great information that our customers really would want to get access to, certainly within Spot Buy. From a timing standpoint, what are we looking at here? Is this something we're going to see in 2018 within Spot Buy?
Yeah, definitely. You can see it now. We ran our first list of several thousand sellers through GRMS. There were a handful that got flagged, but as Joe described, we were able to go through and mitigate and understand why they were flagged.
Right.
But yeah, it's available today, and I think it's just to add to Joe's previous comments. Using Spot Buy does get the conversation of what GRMS does. They ask questions. I think a lot of our buyers are surprised that there are so many watch lists globally, and hopefully opens up an avenue for business for Joe.
Is it fast? Can customers get started really quickly? We just sort of turn it on, pick the package, turn it on, and go?
We can stand somebody up in a week. I mean, it's pretty.
That's wonderful.
We usually are more waiting on our clients, because they have to do a lot of internal socialization and communication, saying, "Hey, this is coming
communicate
on."
out to the supplier community.
Right. But in terms of especially with our new platform now, we can have someone sit up in a couple days.
Fantastic. That speed is amazing. Really shows the network of network effects, bringing together the GRMS network and the Ariba network and the Spot Buy network all together to solve some problems. So, fantastic. Joe, Tony, thank you for joining us this week on our podcast, The Why.
Right. Thanks for having us.
Our podcast, The Why, is put together by the People First team. We'll be producing The Why on a regular basis. If you have recommendations for topics, please contact the People First team. And please share this podcast with other members of our team or even outside our team. Thank you for listening to The Why.